Hey there, so welcome to the garden. I just took off a bunch of the row covers and I'm doing kind of just a little garden check-in today. It's so important to get the row covers off and check underneath them and see what's going on and just make sure that, you know, everything is going well and, you know, there's nothing you need to take care of, no pest issues and stuff. So definitely an important task. So I thought I'd just go through the beds with you and kind of give you a little update on what's happening, because I know in a lot of the videos and a lot of the pictures you see of the garden, the row covers are on. And so we don't really get to see what's going on underneath them. So while I'm checking through everything, thought I'd just take you with me. And let's start in this far bed over here, because I actually don't really talk about this bed all that much. And I'll show you what we got. So the most exciting thing that's kind of coming up here are my onion sets. It looks like a little squirrel might have gotten underneath the row cover. I didn't have it on perfectly well, I think a couple weeks ago. It looks like maybe something got underneath here. So I'm just gonna smooth that out. But you can see I planted a bunch of onion sets here and they are coming up pretty nicely. So that's really good. That's encouraging. I have been loving having these little onions in the garden. Honestly, even if I never get an onion this whole, year, just to have something growing right now has been such like an encouraging thing. I can't explain it, but this time of year, the sun is not really out very much. It's dark, it's gray, nothing's green, and having these little onions like popping up and really growing when so little else is growing has been just so refreshing. It's been so nice. I'm loving it. So I'm just gonna smooth out and get rid of any like leaves that are in the way. I actually mulched this whole bed with leaves last year and then covered that leaves with compost. And by the middle of summer, the leaves had totally decomposed and there was a lot of really great like leaf bedding. But I did deal with a lot more pest issues in this bed, and I dealt with like more powdery mildew I noticed in here. So I'm wondering if keeping some of the leaves and things in the bed actually made my pest issues worse. I mean, I'm sure that a lot of pests were able to kind of winter over in it. So this year I think I'm going to keep it pretty clear of leaves just to try to avoid that. So that's what I'm going to do really quick, is just pull out all the little leaves that I've got in here, and I'm just going to pop them in my little compost basket, and then we'll move on to the next bed. Okay, that bed is all tidy. There's a few perennials over here. Actually a dahlia that has come back year after year for me. It's pretty much been a great perennial. And then also there are some coneflowers, agara, which I just left because I just don't have my snips out here. So a few things going on in here, but now it's just pretty clean, leaf free. There's a couple, but that's okay. And we'll move over to this bed, which has so many things going on. So this beautiful kale, which as you can see, we've been harvesting and eating, which has been absolutely lovely. And I need to come back in here and harvest some more because I've got a bunch of arugula that looks ready and a bunch of watercress over here, some lettuces that I could harvest. And there's also some radicchio. This is the radicchio starting. A few radishes growing, and then I did plant some onions and garlic in here for next year. But I am gonna have to come in here as well and clean out some of these dead leaves, because there's that's all food for slugs and pests and things like that. So I don't want those in my garden either. Just to trying to combat some of my slug issues early on and make sure I avoid just totally feeding them. That's probably not a great idea. Then I popped a little bit of a row cover over this bed and all of these greens, because I was working on keeping the squirrels out of this container. we've had so much squirrel pressure digging in all the containers, so I did just throw a row cover over it. But I'm noticing some pest damage going on. It looks like there's even maybe some aphids. So you know what I might do is just actually leave this uncovered. We are probably going to get some cool nights in the next, couple days here, maybe toward this weekend. I think it's going to start cooling down, and that won't bother the kale or the lettuce, probably even. Certainly won't bother the violas that I've got blooming in here, but it should take care of the pests, because I don't like all this aphid damage that I see in here. That's a problem I don't want. I'd rather sacrifice maybe some of my lettuce growth and everything to not have these aphids wintering over and doing well in this garden. So I'm going to take the row cover off of all of these and let nature kind of take its course. Again, another reason why it's so great to get out here and check underneath the row covers, because otherwise, you just think things are going along looking good, and it's been about, I would say maybe 5 days since I came out and harvested any lettuce, and in that time the pests have been able to do some damage. So no more row cover over this, and I want to actually work on arranging the containers anyway, so that's totally fine. Totally fine. This is the last bed that had a row cover on it, and this is where I just transplanted out all of my green onions, so I wanted to come and check and see how they're doing, which they look like they're doing pretty well. Looks like all my little transplants survived, which is super good to see. And there's some Mizuna coming up here, some lettuces. Let's see, what did I plant? Yeah, Mizuna and red fire and black seed Simpson lettuce all in here, which is, coming along. The carrots are growing. These have been fun to watch really take off. I'm gonna have to come back in and thin them out, but for now I'm just letting them keep growing. And then I've got Swiss chard back here, which is looking lovely. Again, I've got definitely some chores to do. I gotta come out with my snips and clean out some of the leaves on all of these greens. It's kind of just a constant process of keeping the garden tidy, but it's encouraging to see that those green onions are still here and they haven't been eaten. So much pest pressure on my green onions, and it looks like those pests are finally gone. Hopefully that happens in the lettuce container too when we leave it uncovered. But phew, I hope. I think it was like maybe little centipedes or something. I don't know if snails really eat onions. Usually kind of like anything in the onion family is safe, because they're just the alliums. Most pests don't like it, but not the case with those green onions. But anyways, that's nice to see that everything's doing well in that container. That raised bed. It's so fun to see the garden without the row covers. I actually love these row covers. A lot of people ask where I got them. They're from Gardener Supply. They are like a little bit of an accelerator row cover. I think that's the name of them. And so they do keep things a little warmer, let maybe some growth happen. So I'm hoping that'll help keep the carrots growing throughout the winter and keep the kale really happy and growing and, not stopping because it's cold out. But it's nice to actually see what's going on in the beds. I think I'm just gonna hang out here and do a little tidying. I got baby girl with me and she's waking up, so we'll see how long she'll be happy in her little little bed. And I'm just gonna kind of pet her and tidy, and we'll keep an eye on those lettuce greens and see if we can't get them back on track with the pests. Thank you so much for hanging out in the garden with me today. I hope your garden's doing well, and I'll talk to you next video. Bye-bye.